Hi, Nick Houston here for Gotham Sound and Communications. As you can see, the giant next to me is Geoff with a G, so it really is G Gotham. There we go. Geoff from Wisycom, thanks for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's good to finally be back in New York and see all the people.
Yeah, that's right. You were just at NAB New York.
Yep.
Is it NAB/AES?
NAB/AES. I think they for many years they've shared the show. I think Javits is a very big hall.
Yeah.
But it was nice to get to see everyone and show off some new things, and it's been a long time of video calls, and it's nice to
be in
talk
person.
to people.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, let's talk about new things because we are here to talk about new things. So the buzz from Wisycom is about this little guy here. So tell me about that.
So this is the MTP61. So we wanted to make sure to give a size comparison that is a little more relatable as compared to a 9-volt. Mm-hmm. So this is everything that we've made as a standard in our what we call our Symphony series, which has been part of our MCR54s, the MCR54 Dual, the MTP60, and this is the generation of multi-band transmitters that have Bluetooth and just a lot of functionality packed into a small footprint. Mm-hmm. So we listen to the market, we listen to what a lot of our users, your users, around the country, around the world said, hey, we really love the 60, but we need it to be just a little bit smaller and weigh a little bit less.
Right, and this, this is, I can't show weight on the air without a scale, but this is pretty darn light. And this is this is a non-working model, but it is like the correct case and it has the guts.
Yeah, this one is what we call a mechanical model. Uh-huh. So we wanted to make sure we said to Massimo and Wisycom and the team there, we said, hey, don't leave Italy to come to AES without one. But we're really excited with it. So this one's a mechanical model because we wanted to show it's in a lot of set design, live applications, film and field production. It's how big is it? How well is it going to fit into the costume? How well is it going to deal with an actor in a leg wrap, ankle, or chest pouch, whatever it may be? Sorry, go ahead.
You go.
Yeah, so we took it and made a very small one with a removable battery. Mm-hmm.
So I guess let's show the removable battery. So you showed me this earlier. So the belt clip.
So it's right up here on the top. You just push this button and it'll plop open.
There we go. And this battery is what kind of battery is it? It's Kodak, right?
I think it was primarily a Kodak part number. It's a non-proprietary battery, and that was one thing that's very important to us in our design of this is it's a non-proprietary battery that is very widely available. Mm-hmm. We provide a battery part number for that through Gotham and just to make sure it's readily available no matter where you do, because we know traveling with lithiums can be challenging. Mm-hmm. So you can send them ahead, get them locally, and just give you a few more options.
Right. Okay, so I guess, let's talk about batteries since we're on batteries right now. But just the clip, it's easy to take out. You just get a little fingernail in there.
Yeah, there's a little push button in it, and it pops right out.
Yep. So as we can see, we've got a multi-bank charger here.
Yep.
Which this is something that Wisycom is going to make as well.
Yeah.
Or is making. And then LEDs for each of the
so there's a few options for battery management, battery charging. Mm-hmm. On the MTP61 itself, you'll see there's a small magnetic connector on the bottom. This will have a very small USB cable available that you can use to charge a single MTP61. Or as Nick shows, you can just drop it right in the charger.
And that's actually kind of fun because, as you said, it's magnetic. So I was surprised that it just kind of
it clicks
right in there. But you can also see that this charger can also do the batteries themselves. So you can not only charge the transmitters, keep them hot, but you can charge backup batteries too. So it's essentially an 8-bay charger.
It's an 8-bay charger, so you can have your one working, one backup. Mm-hmm. But that's not all we've done with this. You have a lot of status LEDs that we're going to put some definitions on exactly how and what they show later on. Mm-hmm. But we added a couple kind of cool bits to this charger if we want to flip it up this way.
Okay.
Is on the back you'll see we have a few connectors here. There's a power connector, and then there's a couple of USB-Cs and a couple of 3.5 millimeters. And so what you can do with these is The MTP61 has an integrated micro SD memory card.
Oh, uh-huh.
So in the US, you can transmit or record.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in the recording mode, you've got to get that data off. There's the memory card is not easily removable. The only way to remove it is to completely disassemble it. So it's not really a feasible or viable option for a working day.
Right.
So what you can do is when you pop these in, all 4 of them, you can USB-C to your computer or your favorite cloud device. We know there's a lot of popular options out there like the Viviana Cloud Box. We're working with them to make sure we have the full compatibility. But you can also loop out of this into another charger. So you can do, I think it's up to about 10 chargers with data.
So you could have 40, with enough chargers looped together, you could have 40 transmitters show up on your computer to be able to dump
and
data.
that's off one bank. You'd have to go to the next. But it also has the 3.5 millimeter, and what you can do with that is from your favorite timecode device, jam in linear timecode. You're not technically jamming to the device because this doesn't have any timecode reading, but when you pop the MTP61 in, it will take that timecode jam from the
Oh, that's fun.
tray.
So it's the same standard as, say, a tentacle cable.
Yeah, so you can put your tentacle straight in through the audio because linear timecode is just audio.
Right, yeah, of course.
So then you can, every time you break, you charge, you start for the day, everything's jammed, coming right off the dock.
Cool. That's really cool. So you would, let's say, start with all the transmitters on, drop them in, jam them, and then deploy them.
Yeah.
All right, well, so that's cool. I did not expect you to talk about that, but that's really neat. And you also mentioned that there is, if you don't want to buy the 4-bank charger, there is a USB cable.
Yeah, there'll be a small USB that's exactly what you expect to be. It's a USB to a small magnetic connector.
Yeah, and that will allow you to dump.
To dump straight off your individual.
Yeah, and potentially there'll be an adapter for timecode jamming.
Yeah, and otherwise timecode jam could still go through the
I see.
the audio
Through
connector.
the port.
Yeah.
Got it. Cool. All right, and how big is the card in here?
It's a 64 gig memory card.
Okay, so you're going to get
You'll get a significant amount of time.
More than the battery life, I assume.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be a lot. All right, so let's talk about the specs. First, I guess we'll start with the battery life.
Yeah.
So this transmits at, 10, 20, and 50?
Yeah, it'll do 10, 20, and 50, and it'll also do the linear 10 and linear 20. And for anyone unfamiliar with linear, it's a technology we talk about a lot, and this is for dealing with high capacity situations or high density and high capacity where you need to do multiple transmitters in a small physical space and or a small amount of frequency. So this lets you switch it from wideband into narrowband and evenly space your carriers every 200 kilohertz in narrowband or 400 in wideband.
Got it. Okay, cool. So what is the battery life at those various settings?
We're still doing some final testing as we get into these bits. We're anticipating about 8 hours at the lower powers. And you should, at the very least, be able to make it to lunch at higher powers.
Okay, got it. So we're thinking like 5-6 hours, something like that. Cool. All right, great. And so in terms of the specs, I assume it's similar to the MTP60.
Yep.
Besides the size and the battery, but just give us a rundown of the frequencies and Bluetooth and all that jazz.
The key difference in between this and the 60, of course, size. This does all the same frequencies, and this is, of course, country dependent. For the US, that's 470 to about 608, plus the duplex gap guard band and the 940 to 960 band. This, of course, skip over all the illegal bits. And in the US, it's the same situation of it has a built-in 32-bit float recorder that you can be transmitting or recording.
Got it. Okay. So really the levels on the recording, if you do need to just throw it and go.
And this has as well. We had put this onto the MTP60, a feature we didn't really even talk about it very much. Is essentially what this does is has some protections for if your battery dies in the middle of recording or someone takes your battery out or whatever may happen. The transmitter automatically, when you're recording, essentially closes the file every 15 seconds. So if you're in the middle of a take, something happens, someone pops a battery out. At most, you've only lost about 15 seconds.
Got it. Okay, cool.
And we put that onto this and the 60.
Oh, that's neat. I did not know about that feature. That's cool. So, what others? So the only difference that I can really see in terms of the mechanical stuff is this is an SSMA antenna.
Yeah.
Which are generally readily available.
Yeah.
There are other wireless people using that, so that's great.
Yeah.
So,
The only things we went some limit, I don't want to say limitations, some differences. You know, this does not have any ability to do phantom powering with any of our adapters.
yeah.
This does not have the positioning or the haptic engine, and a lot of that just comes out of we chose to go with smaller footprint over some of those features that are very cool and very useful for some things, but they weren't as widely applicable. We wanted to go with what would serve the majority of our users best. And we said, let's focus on size, RF performance, and consumption of battery life.
Yeah, got it. Do you know if there'll be a spring clip for this, like a larger clip?
Yeah, we're into building in a spring clip as well. Something else we're kind of working on with this, and should be available for the production model as well, as to be able to give this an IP rating.
Oh.
And for anyone unfamiliar with IP, is to deal with dust and water situations. So we're doing some of that testing to get that rating of, at least making it resistant to, sweat, some water, to figure out how much durability that will take with you in the field.
Got it. Cool. Oh, that's fun. So hopefully splash proof. Maybe you can take a quick bath. But we'll see, right? So this also has the built-in Bluetooth remote control.
Yep. So this has got the built-in Bluetooth 5 long range, and much like the 60, this is a Class 1 Bluetooth device, so 100 milliwatt Bluetooth, as compared to a lot of Class 2 devices that are out there, is about 5 to 10 milliwatt.
Got it.
So it'll be in broadcast mode. You'll be able to monitor it from, all of our testing says about 100 meters, but your results may vary a little on that.
Got it. Anything else you want to share before we get into questions about this?
No, that's a lot of the things we're really quite excited for this one.
Good. All right. I have a printout from somebody who is very excited, so I wanted to just ask all these. Nope, we got all his questions done already. His was about the PHA. So let's go to questions from the internet. So first one is, let's see, Eric Likeness, thanks for the compliment about the 9 volts.
We thought that was when we announced the pictures online. The biggest comment we got was, well, how does that compare?
Right.
I said, well, you should have a 60.
So this is a great question. So Jacob Washer says, when can we put these in various pockets? I assume that means, when will it be out?
Actually, I was telling Nick just as we were getting started, the team in Italy was calling, giving an update that we're really looking and anticipating into Q1 of next year.
Yeah.
It's the question we always get when I say Q1. They're like, oh, do you mean of this year, next year? Yes. Yeah. We anticipate Q1 of next year, and to have that kind of start shipping both in the U.S. and around the world.
Got it. Cool. Great. So keep an eye out. Bal Rayat is asking how long the battery lasts at 50 milliwatts. We kind of covered that, but we were thinking 5-6 hours, still testing, right? Perfect. Let's see, what else? I cannot see my mouse anymore, so that's strange. Let's see if I can use this mouse. Do you have a sense of what the cost will be? Alejandro Reyes wants to know.
Yeah, for cost, I don't have the definitive number yet, because that's something we kind of finalize as it goes in production. But we're anticipating this to be very comparable to our MTP60.
Got it.
As our team would say here, it's a plus minus 3 dB.
Isn't 3 dB half? That would be interesting. Okay, and sorry to skip around here. Kyle Schroling asks, how long does it take to charge these in the drop-in charger?
That's an excellent question. It would depend a little bit on the battery itself. I'm gonna have to come back to you on Kyle, you hit me with the one I didn't have a right answer on my notes for.
All right, TBD. I'm gonna guess it's less time to charge it than it is to actually use it. So, but it would be interesting if you came in the morning and dropped them in while talent was getting ready, if they could be 100%. All right, what are the recording formats?
Similar to the MTP 60, it's going to be, you're going to have 24-bit and 32-bit, or 32-bit float for these transmitters.
Got it. Okay, and sorry, so you said 24-bit, 32-bit, and it's just a WAV file? I'm
I think I think it's a wave hub, and it may be a what do they call it? A BWF.
BWF. Okay. Perfect.
Because I think that integrates all the metadata.
All right. Bal wants to know when you loop the chargers together, will the timecode jam between multiple chargers?
So similarly, it'll do on this. It would have your 3.5 millimeter in, and then you would loop out via another 3.5 millimeter to your next one.
Got it. Okay. So yes, as long as you connect.
Yes.
As long as
you
you
just
loop
have
everything.
to do another little 3.5 millimeter or 1/8 inch audio loop in and out.
Yeah. Yep. That makes sense. So it's two cables, the USB cable and the timecode cable, depending on what you want to loop.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Michael asked about shipping. Yes, we want to have the ship now. Let's see.
You and me both.
Yes. So Alejandro wants to know, once this released, will it be available in bundles? So the bundles as they currently are not, this will not be part of that yet. We're going to figure out the bundles, and we'll let you know as soon as we have pricing and things like that.
Yeah. There's some changes coming to bundles, and I mean,
Yeah.
you'll find out through. We always say, as Wisycom, we always say check with your local dealer, but of course Nick will know.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, I mean, I think we always
give him a minute. I got to get back home, and don't call him right after.
Don't
I can
call
already
me
hear
yet.
his phone ringing.
Exactly. Oh, we already have a list of going for people that want it. So if you do want to get on the pre-order list, I think we have it up on the website. There's a $200 non-refundable deposit. You can also email us or call us, and we'll put you on the list and let you know as soon as things are available and updated. Okay, let's see. What else do we have? Oh, and Alejandro also, we're always happy to make like a bundle with other stuff, cables and jazz like that.
That right there is why people ask us, just as a shout out to, we always say, talk to your dealer, talk to your rep, because that's the way we always work with all value add. It's what we call it, value add dealers, is get you taken care of across the board.
Yeah. All right. So Jacob really likes the dock feature. I do too.
Yeah.
And Kyle said, you said the card was hard to get out. Does it come out? Does it come with a card, and what is the max size of a card?
So, I should probably rephrase it a little bit. To take the card out requires disassembling the entire unit, more or less. So it's not really something that we would ever really recommend you taking out. But it's a 64 gigabyte card, but it's not a standard micro SD. It's it's an industrial micro SD. So it's rated for a significantly longer period of time of operation, and has a lot more metric reporting of if the card's going bad, it's able to give a better indication of that card is going to die.
Got it.
But they will go significantly longer than the ones you would pick up commonly.
Yeah, got it. And Alejandro wants to know, what is the size comparison to the SSM from Electrosonics? I obviously don't have one here, but they're both very small transmitters.
Yeah, you can screenshot it and compare it to our 9-volt.
Yeah, and Alejandro, if you send me an email, I'll be happy to do a picture and send it to you directly offline. All right, so those are the questions on that. Anybody that has questions about the MTP61, please keep leaving them in the chat. We're going to move on to another exciting and new product that Wisycom announced at NAB AES.
Yeah,
and we'll come back to whatever other questions you have.
Yeah, so we kind of announced this back at NAB in Las Vegas in April, but this is wrong way. This is our BFL. We announced this in April, and we came to the show with the final mechanics and final designs, and just want to spread some thought of different ways to look at how you currently do cart-based or field production, and to say, hey, just some thoughts on how we think you could do this differently to make your life a little easier and kind of enhance your production's capability.
Yeah.
Because I know I've never heard anyone who calls me and says, hey, production, scaled back today.
Right. They just decided to cut all those scenes with 12 people in it.
Yeah, they were like, oh, we were going to do this really elaborate thing, but it's going to be too much work, so we'll do a little less.
Okay, so tell me, what does the BFL do?
So what the BFL does is an RF over fiber system in a much more compact form. As you see, we're running a theme. Let's make things a little more compact.
A little smaller,
So what you can do, this is what we call the BFLT, and it's a BFL transmit.
Yep.
So what you would do with this is you can extend the coverage of your RF, is the basic idea. So you take this, you would plug in an antenna. This could be an omni, a directional. You know, if you're up against it, could be a whip.
Yeah.
Power it via the 4-pin Hiroshi. It's got the Bluetooth remote control for all the settings inside of it, and then you would go back to your cart via a fiber connection.
Got it. So this is just a standard fiber connection.
Yeah. So this one, as you see, is just ST connector, and it's all single mode, and it has to be single mode fiber compared to multi mode, and that just has to do with the effective distances you can work. But it's also, you know, could be done with an SC-APC connector. We just tend to like ST because it's got the locking.
I see. Okay. And then what does this do? I mean, for people that aren't familiar with fiber, what does this do in terms of how long you can make your antenna runs?
So in a lot of RF, as you know, for anyone who's peripherally understanding and very into it, is as you go over RF cable, the thickness of the cable matters, the type of cable is very important, and there's always loss.
Right.
So on good, thick, heavy, you know, RF cable, it's typically about 3 dB per 100 feet. And that, you know, really limits you to about 400 feet at most. And even then that is, because I know you've run that kind of cable, I've run that kind of cable, it's kind of a nightmare to deal with a diversity pair that's 400 feet long.
Yep.
And sometimes 400 really isn't enough.
Yep.
So we said, okay, well, we can take this and you can go miles over the fiber. And fiber is typically less expensive and significantly smaller to deal with. You can put it on a spool and you can get, you know, 1,000 foot or 2,000 foot, what we call a TAC 12, which would be a 12 pair, for less money and less weight than the equivalent in LN9913 or heavy RF.
Right. So basically it makes it so that the heaviest thing you're remoting is the antennas and the stand that they're on, rather than having to lug around a bunch of heavy cable.
Exactly. And typically in productions, they're usually running a multi-core, or they call it a TAC, like a fiber cable, so they have extra strands, which makes it so if they want to expand, all you've got to do is take your BFL, and you see this one we've got mounted to just a plate with a little adapter arm. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
We've got it mounted to a plate with a little arm, and all you've got to do is drop a battery on the back or power it with whatever local power you have there, and then send a strand of fiber back for each antenna.
And now this has Bluetooth on it to control. So just tell me a little bit about what the controls are in this.
So the controls would give you a bit of gain control about how much is coming in, because fiber is there's a lot of belief that fiber is very complicated and difficult. It's all just gain management and power management. You just want to make sure you're not overloading your fiber input. So this gives you a little gain management, but more important than that is filtering. And this is very similar to our BFA, which is a very popular device. This is all the filtering concepts of the BFA, except it does a little bit of a better filter, and this includes VHF.
Oh, cool. Okay. So you could, if you're operating in VHF, you can filter that down there. Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
And that works because, you know, in some, you know, larger deployments where we see in, say, broadcast television or sports applications, they'll do some, you know, VHF intercom or VHF radios. And if you're on a remote site, you can bring back the radios or bring back the comms and feed them in. Not every application, if you're just doing your cart, do you need to deal with other people's stuff. But if you've got things in VHF you're needing to bring back, that's an option. Yeah,
cool. And just to, you know, kind of talk a little bit about filtering, you know, sometimes range issues is not about, you know, the antenna placement. Sometimes it is about out-of-band RF interference. You know, we've seen walkies are a huge culprit, police and fire down in 470. So sometimes just adding a filter and narrowing the frequencies to the frequencies that you are using can really help. So that's where this comes in.
Yeah, and that's what you're hitting on is exactly RF fundamentals. Is, you know, even if there's a lot of opinions from a lot of people about, you know everyone says theirs is the only way. There's a lot of ways to go about it, but you know, the moment you start by cutting out your own hop transmits, your IFBs, especially radios, the moment you start pulling that out, get rid of any TV channels, even if you just bring it down to the 40 meg on a BFA, 40 megahertz wide, you're going to do yourself a bit of a favor.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, the less RF energy coming in that the receivers have to sort out, the better.
Exactly. The way I've explained RF to, I love my wife, she's not an RF background person, is the fundamental idea is there's a microphone across the room I'm trying to hear them whisper, whereas Nick is my IFB and he's screaming in my ear.
Yes,
and
true.
I'm trying to ignore him to hear that.
Yeah, oh, that's good. All right. And I am often screaming in Jeff's ear. So, and so this is the transmitter. There presumably will be a receiver.
There is a receiver. It's exactly the same form factor. It'll look almost identical, except on the back it'll say BFLT or BFLR, and you can use that. You can go the BFLR straight into your receivers, and it'll power via the bias from your receiver, or you can 12 volt it.
Okay.
Alternatively, you can go from the BFLT into our MFLs, or you can go straight into the fiber expansion module of the MRK16.
On the MRK16, right. So you could have 16 channels of Wisycom with fiber running out for the antennas, and this box there doing filtering.
Yeah.
So that would mean you wouldn't use an active antenna with this. You would use a passive antenna that would then get filtered.
Yeah, or if you use one of our LFAs, you would just leave the gain very low because you're not needing to make up for the cable loss. You would just use the filters.
Does this? But you also have the filter in here.
Yeah.
So it's, does this provide bias for active antennas?
It'll provide bias.
Yeah, that's cool.
So so that's all as a receive application. You can also flip these the other way. When you're using our MTK952 as an IFB transmitter, it has what we call the master-slave output.
Okay.
Because with fiber, it's all about power.
Right.
You can use the slave output, so it'll send a 0 dBm reference signal. So you can go straight into a BFLT at your cart, over fiber, pop a BFLR with what we call a PAW, which is an amplifier, and have your IFB at your remote site.
Got it. And I actually do know a guy that's doing that, so that's pretty cool. Okay, awesome. Anything else you want to share about this system?
No. Let's get into some.
Let's just see if we have any other questions. Let's see. Are there any new plug-ons coming out? An MTB60 perhaps, Jeff?
There's a lot of things we're working on. I mean, to answer it all of our transmitters and a lot of what we're doing is moving towards the Symphony series, and so we're making some transitions of other devices. I just don't have, because of some component things, we just don't have a firm timeline on those.
Got it.
We chose the priority was to get the 61 available.
Right. Yeah. So new products come out when they come out. You guys are always working on new and exciting things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. It's better to have it come out and work than have an empty box.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So Peter asks, is the 8-hour battery life with recording on or without? So that, I assume, is for like the European version. If you were transmitting and recording, how much extra battery life does the recorder take up?
Yeah, the recorder all in all is a very, very low consumption recorder. It'd be kind of negligible on its own. But yeah, 8 hours is I think the metric is without. But it'd be probably pretty negligible to have the recorder.
Got it.
Now for the US, if you do recording only without the transmit, you should be able to get well into 10, 12, 14 hours.
Yeah.
Because the highest consumption piece of the device is the transmitter.
Right, that makes sense. All right, so Pedro asks, is this compatible with the Sennheiser 6042, just like the MTP40 and MTP41? I mean, it has the standard Wisycom, companders.
It's actually a shifting compander similar to the MTP60. This only runs on what we call our ENS compander, which is a very, very flat response, but it handles some audio a little bit better. We made that transition with our MTK and the MTP60 and to just move to a single compander. So I can't speak to if it works specifically with that receiver, but it runs off our standard. Standard companders.
So that would be a testing thing. We're happy to test that out. But I've actually had good luck with Wisycom transmitters and Sennheiser receivers. Just anecdotally, it worked well. I was happy. It sounded good.
I say we've heard stories of people doing the opposite of analog coming in.
Yep, exactly. All right, Kyle wants to know why the antenna change on the 61. I'm going to move this back out. So why the SSM antenna?
The SSMA is a form factor thing. We just needed something to be very small to fit all the rest of the the bits in there, because as you'll see with this, sorry, I'll open this up, I forgot about we're on the thing. I mean, the majority of the space in this box is the battery.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, just to show kind of side by side, the battery is, about a little bit less than half of the width and most of the length. So that is quite a bit of space for that. So yeah, it would, to do an SMA antenna, it would have to move out. Or even the 1-pin LEMO would be
It'd have to be a bigger, because even as you'll see with this, we had to curve the back side of the case to fit the LEMO in.
So let's see that.
Yeah, it's curved in the way it is. It just, there wasn't quite the room for it.
Got it.
But everything else, and it's on a new platform of kind of the FPGAs, and the way we do it, I can't get too deep into the spec, but it is a significantly smaller processor and closely the way they explained it to me, and this my knowledge of microprocessors is not the same, but it's a very, very, very small, low consumption processor inside of it. That's why we're able to get 8 hours out of low power on a single battery.
Got it. And is the mic preamp the same preamp as on the
60?
60? Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. So you're not going to hear any kind of sound difference or anything like that. Cool. It's just smaller. All right. Kyle wants to know, can you use the MCR antennas? Wait, say again?
Can you use the MCR antennas with the 61 for match pairs? I don't know that I totally understand your question, but the MCR54, actually all of our MCRs run on an SMA, which is just slightly bigger than the SSMA. But this will include all the antennas that you would need to run the device in whichever country you're operating it in.
Yeah.
Or whichever country you purchase it in.
Right, yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, the MCR antennas, I mean, presumably, you put the appropriate antennas on that too, whether it's band 8 or band 7, and I think there are, with the receive, is it just?
We changed the colors for those of I think it's black, yellow, green, blue. And it'll, when you set a frequency on your 54, it'll light up and it'll tell you antenna black, antenna blue.
Oh, cool.
Whatever it wants.
Oh, I like that. Okay. Well, we'll take a couple more seconds for questions to roll in. But Geoff, is there anything else you want to share, or something you're excited about for Halloween, just to date when this video is coming out?
Actually, yeah, Halloween is fun. My wife and I bought a house last year, so we live in a very nice little neighborhood. It's not. It's a townhouse.
It's in a town.
It's in a town. It's near DC. It's beautiful, but we live in this neighborhood. There's always just tons of kids, and my wife loves to do the trick-or-treaters.
Oh, fun. Do you guys dress up?
She does.
She does.
She does. So like trick-or-treating, there's always a ton of kids that come through, and it makes it fun.
Okay, cool. All right, very great. Well, we answered Kyle's question, so I think we'll wrap it up so you can get to your train and things like that. But Geoff from Wisycom, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah,
really
thank
appreciate
you for
it.
having me.
Thanks for sharing the MTP61, the BFL-T1, and these 8-bay, 4-bay charger thing.
I feel like we should also mention, as you scroll that down, is we will be in Atlanta in a couple weeks for the Mixer. So for any of our friends in the Atlanta area, if you want to see it for yourself.
Atlanteans.
Are they Atlanteans?
I don't know. That's what I like to call it. The Atlanta shop would know better than I. But yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so the Atlanta Mixer. And then it seems like this year there will be all of the normal Mixers that we've come to know and love. So Atlanta, Dallas, we'll do New York.
I just saw the event for the Dallas one come up the other day. I said, putting it in my calendar.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, coming in February. So yeah, we'll see you around. All right, awesome. Well, thank you for making the trip. As always, thank you for watching. You can watch this video and more at gothamsound.tv. You can visit us on Facebook and Twitter. And if you have any questions, as always, please email us at info@gothamsound.com. Geoff, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, take care.